Hello, I'm Susan Pascoe and I'm the Interim Commissioner for the Taskforce for the Australian Charities and Not-for-Profits Commission. I'm here to introduce a series of videos that are recordings from a number of speakers on the reform initiatives that the government has underway for the not-for-profit sector. The ACNC Taskforce decided to launch a YouTube channel because it was conscious of how much reform activity was underway and how difficult it was for any group really to keep up to date with it. So the first thing that we did was we created a mud map, which is in effect a diagram of the working parties, standing committees and various short-term committees that the government has in place to try and stimulate reform in the sector. The interesting thing about a mud map is that it doesn't sit with a static set of relationships, but it actually provides links between one set of working parties through to another. So you get a series of the communications flows that are operating. Now this mud map is going to be provided for you on the ACNC website, and I'd encourage you as you go through the series of presentations to have that in front of you, because I think it'll help you get an overview of the reforms in the sector, and that's part of our aim. I think our key aim was for you to get an overview as well as to get some sense in depth of the various reform initiatives. So in addition, on the website, the ACNC website, you'll be able to access the papers for each of the standing committees and working parties that we refer to. Now what you will have following this presentation is an address from the Minister, the Honourable Bill Shorten, who is also the Assistant Treasurer and has the key responsibility for the regulatory reforms in the not-for-profit sector. His colleague Minister, the Honourable Tanya Plibersek, is also going to do a presentation where she talks about the social inclusion agenda, but she also makes reference to the National Reform Council in the not-for-profit sector, which she has a particular oversight for. Then there are a series of presentations by various people working in the sector. You get two more from me. One will be on the role of the Taskforce for the not-for-profit sector, which is called the Australian Charities and Not-for-Profits Commission Taskforce, and another is on the key decisions that the government has made in relation to the ACNC. Following that, there'll be a presentation from Assistant Commissioner Michael Hardy in the Australian Taxation Office, and he'll be talking about the work that the ATO is doing to separate the function it has had over many years to designate charitable status and to pass that across to the ACNC. There'll also be a presentation from Kate Wallace from the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet. She'll talk about the role of pm&c in trying to keep some effective coordination amongst the various reform activities to offer secretariat support to the Not-for-Profit Reform Council and to generally keep some communication between these reform activities across the Commonwealth Government. You'll also hear from Kerry Marcooley, who works in the Department of Finance and Deregulation, and she will talk about the various activities that that department is overseeing in concert with the states and territories to try and get streamlined contractual arrangements and to try and simplify the regulatory compliance obligations that the government has on the not-for-profit sector. Finally, there will be a spokesperson from the Treasury who will talk about the various policy initiatives that they have underway at present. Included amongst them are the legislation for the ACNC and legislation to codify the definition of charity. So you can see that that's an enormous amount of activity, and these are the presentations that we have put together to try and give you an overview of the reforms, particularly at the Commonwealth level, but not exclusively at the Commonwealth level. I'd encourage you to visit the website of the ACNC and to access both the mud map and the support papers for each of the working parties, because I think that that will assist you in getting a good overview of the reform activities. Happy viewing.